I know we're technically in Wano and all, but this chapter kind of felt like it was a direct continuation of Whole Cake Island. Because not only does Big Mom show up with her crew, but Sanji's getting a fight. So yeah, welcome to Whole Cake Island, the extended edition. Which actually begs the question, why couldn't Sanji look this confident throughout Whole Cake? I mean, this guy was oozing confidence by the end of this chapter, and I think we can all agree that this is the type of Sanji that we want to see. Not only is Sanji being confident, but Zoro is actually smiling. So I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened here? Did the two of them get sent back in time to pre-timeskip One Piece? We start off with Mad Monk, who's losing in a dolphin race against Cracker, but it's only because Cracker is cheating and using his ability to feed Rouge's dolphin so that he gets distracted. You know what would have been great though? Is that instead of having this image be a fan request, just make it canon and just make it part of a cover story that you want to tell, like, you know, the beginning of it, and just write down, like, at the bottom, Rouge and Cracker make their way to Wano aboard some dolphins. And then later on in the cover story, you can have another set of dolphins coming in from the distance, and it's actually a bunch of chefs feeding Katakuri his merienda, and he's like, eh. Chapter starts out at a town called Ebisu, and you can actually find Panda Man in that middle panel of the first page. And ultimately, it's a very happy town. People are laughing and smiling, because if you're gonna starve to death, it's better if you're happy about it. And I kind of get the feeling that what motivated the narration in the beginning, where it says, like, this is Ebisu town, which survives on the leftovers of the capital, is the fact that in the previous chapter, I actually read like 3 translations, and none of them could actually agree on what Yasu was saying about his town. Was it Okobore town? Was it a town that was left over? You know, so I'm really glad that we got this clarification from Oda, because last translation, and I don't know if the wording was just way too tricky or difficult to translate, but it just wasn't clear at all. Like, what was this town? Where was it? Was it a part of Okobore, or was it just like its own separate thing? And so to clarify things further, Zoro even mentions that this town, Ebisu, is actually different than the town back in Kuri called Okobore, which means leftovers. So we're not even in Kuri anymore. And I appreciated the mentality of the town. It actually reminded me a lot of like Jawar D. Saul's motto, or like his lesson to Robin, that as long as you can laugh, you know, things are like, you know, deep down you can remind yourself that things are okay. Now Ebisu, aside from, you know, being a character in Naruto, is actually the Japanese god, and I looked this up, it's the Japanese god of fishermen and good luck. And he's always depicted as a guy smiling. So it would make sense why the name of the town is what it is. Now from a story standpoint, I see 2 possible outcomes to this side quest of Zoro's. The first one is that he could run into Toko at Ebisu town. You know, Toko is the little girl who's an attendant to Komurasaki. And I say this because if you remember, Toko was always smiling and he was always laughing. At one point even Sanji said, oh, your laugh is contagious. And that's kind of what made Sanji laugh. But also, like at one point, his soba soup, like the noodles, get spilled. And even when he cries, he laughs. And I just realized that I've been referring to Toko as a he instead of a she. But she's actually a girl that kind of looks like a boy. So if Zoro runs into her, that could lead him to possibly Komurasaki and to the flower capital, because they're pretty close by anyway. So that can happen. And also, Zoro could actually end up recruiting the Witching Hour boy, which was actually mentioned in another chapter before. He's kind of like Robin Hood, you know, in Wano. Takes from the rich to give to the poor. Not only was Zoro interested in the name, but back in Zou, he did mention that he was going to recruit some of the samurai in Wano. He was going to gather them up, and so far, he hasn't gathered anyone. So, the Witching Hour boy would be a really good candidate for Zoro to recruit. I'm also pretty sure that Zoro's going to end up helping the people of Ebisu town with something to repay them for the clean water that he was allowed to drink in this chapter. That's usually a trope that Oda commonly uses, especially with Luffy, where he's shown kindness from other people in the way of food, and then Luffy says, I will repay this debt. You know, I won't let this food go to waste. I'll appreciate it, but then I'll help you out in the future. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Zoro because of that clean water. Mama, Kaido! Wano wedding khaki! Time to bring out the freaking accordions and start playing her theme song, because Big Mom herself, the old hag, is back. I can't wait to see her and her children wearing their Wano outfits. I really enjoyed this sequence because not only was I not expecting this at all, Like, I know that Blackbeard read in the newspaper that Big Mom was in hot pursuit of the Straw Hats, but I never actually believed that she would actually try and cross the border into Wano. Like, I thought that she would remain in the outskirts or something until the ending of the arc. So the fact that she just doesn't care. Like, she's on board her ship, you know, tied those ropes up to some carp, some koi fish, and just like, I'm here! The thing I love about this the most, though, is that for whatever reason, and Oda has made it apparently clear that this is the case. I don't know what kind of history the two of them had before, what kind of hold she has over him, but it is so obvious that something about Big Mom triggers the hell out of Kaido, and I love that so much. It is so funny. He literally went out of his way, if you read that sequence from the beginning, to have some fodder standing in some of those rocks, holding some cannons to try and shoot the ship down, and then one of the fodder's like, Sir, Big Mom's intelligence gathering ability is unheard of. It's top of the line. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! And of course her kids are blocking all the cannon fire. You got Pedo Spedo there, Smoothie, Daifuku. Who else we got? We got Mondior, Galette. We got Madara lookalike. Compote is there as well. Those are all the important ones that we see in this chapter. The ones that you really notice are absent are like Tamago, Pudding, Cracker, Snack, and obviously Katakuri. So maybe they just got left behind to protect Whole Cake Island. Brulee's not there either. She's probably with Katakuri. Also, why is Flampe there? Who asked for that? Can we trade her in for somebody else? You know what's funny though? Is that the idea that you have to grab these koi fish to make it on top of the waterfall is actually something that Big Mom had to spend resources on, and Luffy just found out about that idea because he was having fun. Also, Kaido's super worried about them landing because if they do, that'll start an all-out war, but he literally said when he was first introduced that he wanted to start the biggest war this world has ever seen. So when it comes to Big Mom, apparently that's where he draws the line. So he calls in King to fly in from Onigashima Island. King one-shots the ship. He doesn't one-shot Big Mom, obviously, but he one-shots the ship. And I just want to give you a scale, again, of how big Big Mom's ship is, right? So here's the ship. Look at how big it is in comparison to the Sunny. Also, if you look at the panel where we see King flying in from the sky, the clouds are kind of grayish. One of them is even black. So I don't know if that's the way that the sky was normally, or if that's an effect that King is having because of his devil fruit on the weather. I really like his design and his color scheme as well. I've never seen a dinosaur that's just all black like this. I think it's very creative. He's an ancient Zoan and he also has like that fire glowing around him at the edges. So that kind of gives him the impression that he's like an ancient phoenix of sorts. He can't be a phoenix because Marco is the phoenix. So I kind of wonder what the fire adds to his devil fruit power. You know what would have been great to see here is if the moment that King swoops in to attack the ship, somebody blocks his attack and it's revealed to be Katakuri. And he's like, gotcha! Also from a story standpoint, one of the most important parts of the sequence is that apparently it seems like Pero Spero and Compote recognize King. They know, I think they know who he is, and I think this could be like foreshadowing to us finding out more about the relationship in the past between Big Mom and Kaido, and possibly even about the rocks. But it's just super interesting that Compote and definitely Pero Spero knew that was King. I mean, Big Mom obviously also recognized King, but it's interesting that Pero Spero, being the first son, and Compote, being the first daughter, recognized King as well. So these two, Big Mom and Kaido, they go way back. And you know, we know that Kaido, I think, had his calamities, you know, during the time that Odin died. So that was 20 years ago. So I don't know, Wano may be the arc in which we get confirmation about whether or not the triplets, Katakuri, Oven, and Daifuku, are actually Kaido's children. Or, I mean, I hope they're not, just because I don't want everybody to be related in One Piece. But it'd be kind of funny if, like, Pero Spero and Compote have a conversation about them remembering that Big Mom at one point was flirting with Kaido. Now, by having Big Mom fall into the water and then immediately cutting away from that sequence, it just kind of gives Oda the freedom to do whatever he wants with her. My impression, though, is that she'll probably show up during a crucial moment of the arc at a time where nobody expects her. Like maybe she'll just burst out of the ground randomly at some point. So now that we know what King's Devil Fruit power is, there's actually a very popular theory going around about what Queen's Devil Fruit power could possibly be. I don't know who came up with it. I read it from a guy called Gus. The theory is that if you remember back in Zou, when Jack decided to come back to Zou and attack Sunisha, he shows up and obviously he has his mammoth ship with him. You know, he has like the mammoth, the head of a mammoth at the front of his ship.
And behind them, though, there are other ships that actually have scorpions on the front of them. So the theory is that Jack got reinforcements from one of the Calamities, and these reinforcing vessels would have to come from a Calamity because, with the exception of Kaido and the Shogun, like Yonko Commander's Calamities are like the only characters important enough to have a ship with figureheads on them. So the theory states that these scorpions are actually representing Queen. They obviously can't be representing King anymore because, he's been revealed to be a Pteranodon. But even before this chapter's revelation, I think it was fairly obvious. It was pretty much agreed upon within the fandom that King was going to have a Devil Fruit power, a Zoan Devil Fruit power that allowed him the ability to fly. So a scorpion wouldn't fit. Also, the person, like the Gus guy that I read, he mentions that if you look at Queen's braids, his hair, it actually kind of does follow the sort of like the tail design of a scorpion. And, we know that Jack has something from his mammoth form. He has like these tusks, on his shoulders. King has the wings, so, it would just follow that would be the case with Queen. This would also make sense from a narrative standpoint, in the sense that I always expected King's Devil Fruit power to be the final one to be revealed out of the Calamities, just because he's supposed to be the strongest. So I was surprised, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't it a little bit too early to get King's revelation right off the bat? But no, so if you follow the pattern, like, he did technically, if the Scorpion is in fact Queen, he did reveal the Calamities in that order. First Jack, the mammoth form, then Queen with the ships, the Scorpion, and then finally King's form.
Then we go to the Flower Capital, and I have to start off by giving credit to Usopp, because I normally don't really laugh at his gags, at his jokes, but the gag in this chapter to fool Sanji into protecting him was actually really funny. It's also kind of funny that he still has that little frog with him that he was using to sell toad oil from. And the frog actually kind of laughs at the joke as well. He's like smiling. Then we have the setup for the long overdue Sanji fight. In my opinion, a fight like this for Sanji should have taken place back in Whole Cake Island, but whatever, better late than never. Here we go, Sanji versus Page One. It's obvious, I think to me it's obvious that he was trying to scale Page One at first, because I think the chapter makes it very obvious that the question is not whether or not Sanji can defeat Page One or not. The question is, how fast can he do it, and can he do it without revealing his identity? So I think that kick was a means of Sanji evaluating and assessing his opponent to see how much strength he would need to finish the fight as quickly as possible. And you could clearly see, like, even though Page One is sent, he's sent at a distance, the kick does push him away, it doesn't really do much damage-wise, because he gets back up, like, pretty easily. That's not to say that Sanji wouldn't be able to defeat Page One without the raid suit, but that it would just take longer if he didn't use it at this point. Now, I actually have a question here, because Law actually says, by the end of the chapter, if either Drake or Hawkins show up, that's it, we're done for. So my question is this: did he mean that from like a power standpoint, in the sense that if Drake or Hawkins show up, we won't be able to handle them fight-wise? Or did he mean it in the sense that, wait, if Hawkins and Drake show up, they obviously know who we are, and that will give us away, so we better not run into them because we don't want our identities to be revealed? Is that what he meant? I don't know, I'm having trouble like deciding what interpretation to give that statement. In my last review, I actually discussed why I thought that it was Page One, the one that needed to go ahead and fight Sanji in this. And I also gave pretty solid evidence for as to why Drake technically has to be stronger than Page One. So again, that statement from Law is a little bit confusing for me. That being said though, if you look at the final page of this chapter, has Sanji stating something that is going to be very, very interesting to see next time. He actually says at the top of the final page that he won't expose himself and that he won't take damage from the fight. Like, he clearly says, like, I won't get injured from this. And Law kind of like warned him against it. And he was like, this is one of the reasons why we don't want to do this. So he says, like, I'm not going to take any damage. I won't be injured. Wow. So this is like, so Sanji's like clearly saying, like, I will dominate this fight from beginning to end. Just watch me go. The biggest troll in the history of One Piece thus far, aside from Pell surviving a nuke, would be if Sanji loses this fight with the raid suit. If that were to happen, or if Sanji were to break something of his in this fight, I would be forced to make a video entitled Oda Hates Sanji Confirmed. 100% confirmed, 2019.
So right now I just feel like I'm old Rafiki at the ending of the Lion King movie when you see like the cloudy sky part and you see this ray of light hit Pride Rock and Rafiki the baboon turns to Simba and he says, "It is time, Sanji my boy."
It is time for Sanji to take back his place in the circle of life as part of the monster trio of the Straw Hat Pirates. I know officially this is supposed to be the second chapter of the year, but for me it's the first chapter of the year, and boy, what a great chapter to start 2019 with. Also, just something very quickly, does that mean that like the reason for why the top headliners like, you know, Drake and Page One, the reason why they're called the Flying Fighters is because they work under King and King can fly? Is that where this is going? Because like I'm assuming all of them have ancient Zoan devil fruits. I'm pretty sure all of them are dinosaurs.
Does that mean that Queen has like a bunch of people serving under him that have like arachnid devil fruit powers, like tarantulas and black widows and stuff? Either way, it's a good thing that Sanji is fighting Page One because I think it'll be a good warm-up fight for his final opponent, which in my opinion will be Queen. It'll be fun if that's the case because Sanji will fight a poisonous opponent, so I kind of want to see how he deals with the poison. I think at one point he mentioned he was fighting he was fighting a blowfish. Was it like Waratsume? And he mentioned something about poison. And then like I think Zoro has been foreshadowed to fight King, which is cool because he's a flying opponent and Zoro has trouble with flying opponents. Plus he needs to learn to cut fire, which King has. So it just fits perfectly well.
That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did. I appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel for more One Piece related content. And I will catch you guys later. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks again, guys. Bye.